All right. If the history we get from historians were accurate, accuracy is a dubious quality, but if it were the truth that we swear it is, not just storytelling by storytellers to please the powerful, praise singing rooted in romanticism, bards in mead halls exaggerating Hrothgar's prowess, colonialism dignified as the age of adventure, pudgy dentists on safari murdering the magnificent with high-powered rifles at a safe distance, and the other stories conditioned by the values or mythologies of their day, of the rest. If history is important, a thing to look at and learn from and improve by, a guide, a warning, a caution, a road of improvement, we should be getting at it soon and now before we close out, because we are on repeat. And the storyteller's work gets easier. Genocides were, for a while, disapproved of. It was really only a short break, a recess, while we loaded up for another go. The storytellers now please us. They praise us. They used to be foisted upon us by churches and synagogues and mosques, telling us we were evil and corrupt. This day is mostly gone, or frayed at the edges, but the need having been created, like advertising, the temples can now withdraw, and we will Pavlov on. Now will be racial or national, anything, anywhere we can hide in our endless infancy, clinging to any teat available. The right wing has jumped at this need, meaning identity and nation, anything to avoid being us, being you, avoid adulthood. The only useful tribe is the one that one day you can leave, or at least change the nature of your membership. The community will never allow your highest heights. That will be personal, in the dark, and a distance. The community should be grateful to you that served it, but the reward should be refused. Our highest is its only reward. It does matter. It did. I did wonder whether it did, but it does, because the praise singers are now confronted with iPhones, etc. So a new art is developing fast. Collective denial. No, that's not happening. You didn't see that. The truth is not evident, if it ever was, and most significantly, it seems today that we'd really rather not the truth. It's the story, the lie that keeps us together. In fact, the bigger the fiction, immortality for instance, the greater its ascendance over reality. I go so far as to discredit truth as useful at all. It just depresses everyone anyway. Many of us seem to have a sort of red line lie without which we would not be functional. I'm sure, for the sake of argument, that I do too, and I'm telling it right now. A man yesterday insisted my history as an Armenian should make me sympathetic to Israel. I didn't want to get into it because I would have said Israel would be the Turk in that story, or the Azeri, and foil his fantasy. Anyway, I do not identify with Armenia like he does with Israel, like a cause, an identity, a supremacy, a victimhood. With that, we'd have just gone silly. He said that Israel wished it could live in peace and continue its great contributions to mankind. What a fantasy. If only its neighbors were peaceful. This is a most wonderful story, shared with and binding it to Israel, to the civilization that supplies all its bombs. The reality of this story, its truth embedded, its inaccuracy obvious, should go marching on. But Islam, well, we all know what they are. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. They are the other, useful always to the storyteller. Now, to be immoral, I don't see this like that. I don't see truth in this story. The one I see is that this unreal reality is universal, and the same culture will perpetrate its shadow. We are not all hobbits, unless we are all also Mordor. Of this truth, there is much evidence all effing day. And I'm not sure there was a time in history when there was such a gap between fantasy and reality. This gap is not created by the internet. Sorry, that is too easy, which aids reality. The problem is that technology has wrested control of the story from the storytellers, the elites, who have a very large lobby built over millennia. Yes, the lobby of the praise singer, the religions and nationalisms that worked overtime sweating over printing presses and now film editing rooms. The artificial selves educated by these spreaders of fantasy leave us unmanned and unwomaned, leave us huddling, waiting for the newest fantasizer to give us hope, the newest Messiah. The habit of hoping elides easily, very easily, with the markets where meaning is sold to them that have no grasp nor use of it. I have to ask, what's wrong with you? And you will answer nothing. There's nothing on sale that will serve you. You are fine as you are. I tell you that for nothing. Our belief systems have seeded us the idea that this here before us is all wrong. Life is suffering is a great line of hooey. Oh, you will see this humanity. Well, you see, this is his humanity, but we haven't even scratched the itchy surface of humanity. There have been flashed now and then prophets, etc., before the publicists pile in to modify the strike, to chop it up and market it, and so it just disappears. My own myths are not moral because I don't see myself as inherently evil. Moral mythologies belong to a space I have never entered, and that's just lucky. The amoral myth took hold and never let go. Not immoral, amoral. So yesterday, for the sake of a friend, I watched State of Grace, which I had remembered watching when was it made? 1990. So I must have been in my late 30s. Is that right? Yeah, I must have been in my late 30s. And mid 30s. And I think I was suitably impressed by it. And then I watched it again last night, and I just, the collusion between the writer and this young and talented cast, talented in a certain way, and I guess their sense of, breakthrough, I'm moving on, I'm becoming successful, and all the rest of it, and telling this most yicky story and trying to, I think it happens a lot, trying to anneal loyalty and love with as much violence as possible, and then presenting that to us as the tragedy of our day. And I, who live in America, who have not, I think I've seen 5 guns in public in my whole time here, people actually carrying guns, and suddenly I'm watching a film where guns are everything, everywhere. They are particularly men's means of expression. And I'm looking at a story being told. I'm looking at a fiction being created. And I suppose if you watched an ancient Greek tragedy and a soldier came on, there were soldiers in the audience who would say, well, yes, that's the reality of our lives. And the moral questions surrounding all of that would be answered on the stage. Here it is fetishized. It is fetishized by the beautiful.